continuous.
Right. So the danger of proxy wars is exactly where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And we're being called out. We're going to be called out.
So what do we think?
Order.
What do
Here's the way I feel about all that conflict.
I think people that have been killing each other or trying to kill each other for 10,000 years are
going to continue.
Of course they are.
It won't stop. But we just keep funding it. Because we're a bunch of little bitches.
What benefits
follow the money?
What benefits us being involved? You know,
the American military industrial complex. Oh, did I say that out loud?
All these stocks. I mean,
yeah, it's. I just don't like the fact, like the whole October 6th.
7th.
The paraglider.
You know, that's unacceptable. That's just flat out unacceptable.
You can't do that without.
If the atrocities of what they did, you know, you can't let
innocents.
that go.
These are innocents. They targeted innocents.
But on the flip side of that, we are letting mass protests, death to America, burning flags in our so it used to be you came to America, you wanted to assimilate, be what you looked at that was the best thing ever.
My paperwork is in.
Oh.
It's good.
Can you vote something? But all of a sudden now, these people don't want to be American.
What are we doing with them?
They're chanting, you know, alliances with Hamas. Dude, you're wearing purple. You got purple hair. Dude, they would kill you tomorrow. Today. They wouldn't wait for the sun to go down. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't even know what you're doing.
And they don't even care. That's the thing.
They ain't even taught.
They just want to be chaotic. But what's the point? Why are the immigrants? I mean, obviously, is it really to hamstring Trump for 4 years? Do we think Trump is going to win or do we think Trump is going to...
that's all about the census.
I mean,
that's all about...
Exactly, but still, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do with them?
They don't care.
We don't have jobs.
I think it's a huge...
We're going robots
it's all going to be
everywhere.
a huge backfire.
How many Americans pick oranges in Florida?
Well,
0.
I know John Deere does.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that's illegal immigration to some point. And honestly, that's where I don't
Well, that's
care.
where it started. But now, perfect example of this is growing up, every landscaping job you ever saw, it was maybe one white guy and a field full of Mexicans or El Salvadorans. Sorry, I don't care where you're from. Please keep giving me good food, though. All the white guys worked on construction sites, though. Nowadays, you drive through Blacksburg with all the work they're doing around Virginia Tech. Every landscaping company, there's maybe one Mexican guy and it's full of white kids, and every construction site is full of Mexican guys.
If you have a construction company and that's about to, you know, you're regulated to the point that you have to go that route to make money. Mm-hmm. You used to be able to buy a combo permit, building permit, well permit, septic permit, $1,600. Mm-hmm. That same permit today's $6,000.
Sounds
you know, so where do you make up that money?
Well, yeah, on your labor front costs. But the argument I'm making, though, is that it's, you know, they came into the country, they took the jobs that Americans didn't want to do that paid little money. Then they started getting into landscaping careers. Then they started getting into construction. Next, they're going to start taking over. Well, they can't take over IT. They have to go to India for that. Sorry, that's a whole other ocean away. But
or the 7-Elevens.
You could say what you want about the Great Replacement theory. Some people believe it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, I know that I work in landscaping and I'm a white guy and I wanted to get into construction for years and was told I could get paid a lot less than I currently do. So,
but
this is a laborer for construction.
If you're a white guy and you're bilingual, you can be making more money.
We're not even talking about Mexican workers at this point in time. We're talking about people from Northern Africa. We're talking about people from all over the country.
Chinese is the
do you think they're going to end up just putting them on ships and sending them right over to the Ukraine because World War III might kick off?
That'd be the best. The American Legion. So here's a rifle. Here's your ticket to Ukraine. Have a nice day. Oh, hey, Taiwan's getting hot. Go there. And
I mean,
we'll send a boat to pick it up.
It worked for
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Promise it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did.
I don't have any issue with immigration. All right, I am an immigrant.
Yeah,
I love immigration.
It's perfect.
You went through the horrible hoops.
I absolutely went through the horrible loops and shenanigans to get it. And paid my tax and was actually part of the taxation without representation with my green card. So, you know, that's very much in conflict with the founding fathers issue of about taxation and representation, but I'm not going to go down that road. I just think you need to do it legally and you need to do it responsibly. A border is a border. If you don't have it, you don't have a country. It's simple as that. It's one of the very few powers that was granted to the federal government was to ensure our security at our borders. And they blatantly are unconstitutional in the manner that they are governing themselves at the moment. Simple as that.
But at the same time, the government, there's a lot of people that came here illegally, over the years. There has to be a path for the ones that have been here 10, 12, 15 years. They pay taxes every year. They can never draw Social Security.
They have a path. They just have a child. And then
but that's not, that still don't.
They got the anchor baby.
No.
The anchor baby thing is actually an issue that is.
I mean, like that.
It needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
The Ivan story. I mean, that's just straight up. Great dude.
Mm-hmm.
Came here illegally, swam the river, 13 years old, went to work in a body shop. And I've known him since he got here. Now owns a construction company, but can never get a contractor's license. Reached out to an attorney, paid this attorney $10,000 cash, immigration attorney from DC, Northern Virginia. Never heard back from the attorney. $10,000 knows that this guy can't raise a ruckus. And, that's the kind of stuff that bothers me, because there's a lot of guys I've met through the construction industry that are absolutely amazing guys, but I have no way of knowing how to get there other than go back and wait 10 years.
Yeah, I don't care if somebody comes to the country and works and puts in their share, but cut the welfare state out, cut all the entitlements and everything. Don't sit there and say, hey, if you come here, you get a phone and a card. And no, end that crap right there and let the fittest. If you want to travel through the desert, jump that wall and come here and start mowing yards and end up getting yourself a big company, that's the American dream.
It changes
Do it. I don't care.
People's perspective.
But you still you're still not getting anywhere because, down the road, like I said, you're paying all this stuff in, but you can never be, so, you don't have a contractor's license because you're illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're having to pay somebody that has a contractor's license to use their number. So, and it shouldn't be like that. I mean, I guarantee you a lot of his guys are immigrants. A bunch of them here probably came here without documentation, illegal, whatever you want to call it. A lot of them guys want to be American. That's.
I found a lot of first-generation immigrants are more American than, sixth-generation Americans or whatever we're at this point.
Yeah.
Just like him.
Our buddy BR that you met at Labor Day, you guys are both from the UK and you're probably more American than 80% of the people I've met in this country.
Wow. Yeah.
Because you're able to contrast what,
they see
what it was before.
But for me to get benefits, I have to be participant in the system for 40 quarters, 10 years, before that door is open to do that. And whether there's social security, whatever those benefits are.
That shit.
But I still have to do my 10 years before I can even enter into that system as a non-citizen. So now what they're doing is giving them front-end loading and handing out
it's instant.
It's instant gratification. I've had to be here and graft for 10 years before that was ever a possibility. But now you're giving it to them as soon as they cross the damn border. Now, unfortunately, that is not how to do it. And it kind of pisses me off because I've had to go through the grind.
I'm sure Joe
the legal way.
You're seeing the other side of what my wife and I are dealing with right now because we're getting ready to pay off all of her student loans. But it's like, what's the point of us paying it off if Biden's going to just cancel it? I've had my college loans paid off. I only went to
that's college, the ultimate kick in the teeth.
And all I can figure is
that's called bribery. That is called bribery.
It comes down to morals.
Why'd you bust your ass for it?
No, this is bribery. This is a Biden bribery scheme, and that's all it is.
You can't cancel a debt that you.
It's just
you don't cancel it, you transfer it.
But it's not a debt. How can somebody that cancel a debt that
they don't have collateral on?
Right.
I don't know how you do it.
What about Dakota? What about me? The guys that fought tooth and nail to make it on their own. You're going to give me a fucking check for actually deciding I was going to make it on my own instead of running up a tab?
It's unconstitutional.
Putting it on you. It's putting it on you.
I'm paying for their shit too.
Right. That's it. That's what's
so where's the
happening.
constitutionality in that?
It's not.
You know, so it just blows my mind. This
the creature from Jekyll
clown.
Island strikes again.
Very much so.
He was talking about first generation immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine, mid-60s, never voted a single time in his life. We was up here hanging out one night, and Geraldine, bless her heart, fire and brimstone.
Love her to death.
And
no filter.
None.
None.
She ripped into him, was like, "You've never voted?" No. I can't, whatever. I don't think I can make a difference. Whatever. Ripped into him to the point he went and got registered and voted.
Nice.
Now, he voted for the wrong person, but I'm sorry.
At least he voted.
Hey.
That's right.
He's on the roll now. Yep.
She was like, I know what happens when you can't vote. You vote. He said he said he's voting for Mickey Mouse this year.
Can't blame him.
Vermin Supreme. He's going to take away our guns and give us better ones. And a pony for every American? Come on, guys. I know you with your whole farm over here would love to have a pony. I would.
Bring it on.
That's what Abe Lincoln did when he freed the slaves, and the Democrats
40 acres and a mule.
Yeah.
That's it.
He already signed on reparations, and they canceled it, and now they're claiming we need it again.
How many people do you think the official number is that came into this country illegally last month was?
Last month.
Last month.
There's no way of knowing.
According to the Department of Homeland Security and CPD, or Customs Border Protection, they had 137,000 encounters that they, said this was the amount of people we believe came in illegally.
And Mayorkas's
that's what they believe.
Impeachment has been rejected by the Senate.
Well,
we have a problem, people.
Yeah, I did see that, but did you really think that was going to go on with Chuck Schumer?
No, of course not.
Well, even if you get rid of him, they can replace him with anybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the exact same son of a
But that doesn't tell you, does that not tell you that the system is so broke? The biggest problem that we can fix immediately is to reduce executive power. And by reducing executive power, now you're having to go to Congress. And that's the representation that we're looking for. So when you bypass Congress from making constitutional laws, and then you get an executive order that lasts for 4 years, and then you spend the next 4 years trying to get it off the damn books.
You want to know how to instantly change all of it? Take all the chips out of Congress and put all the Dakotas and Amoses in.
There you go.
That's for real.
I understand.
100%.
I know what you mean by it.
Attorneys, every word, you figure out how to manipulate every loophole, make a new loophole. Business owners just want to make $1.
How?
And that's exactly what that's how he started. He don't give a fuck. I want a water fountain in front of that building. I'm getting it, bitch. Boom.
How many encounters do you think they said the month before last? So February. How many people do you think they think came in that month?
How many last month?
How many? So we had 104, 107,000, whatever it was that I said for March. How many do you think they claim came in February of this year illegally?
Couple of 100,000.
140,000. How many do you think they had in December in 2023?
Let's say same again.
250,000.
Texas in the fence.
Every month we're seeing what the Roman Empire had collapsed them one time. 100,000 here, 100,000 there. I mean, not to compare us to Rome, but we are a crumbling empire. Joe Biden has now evacuated 8 or 9 embassies, the most out of any president ever. So here's to him for that.
All of our old times.
You haven't heard that on the mainstream. Only here.
We're breaking news.
That's it.
I think the problem is American foreign policy for the past 20 years has been, hey, there's a wedding over there. Let's drone strike it and say it's a bunch of militians. And then why do these people hate us across the world? Oh, well, you know what? The Jews don't like the Hamas people very much because they want some of their settlements or what. Who the fuck cares? I think
I take that a little bit further and go U.S. foreign policy since 1912 has been an absolute shit show.
Oh, absolutely.
And it may go back to 1911. Just saying.
But on the flip side, I think as humans, everybody does like each other. Then you have Billy over there driving a truck, buying damn beer off the sides of the road, digging it out of a hole from
Mister.
But they like each other. That's the only reason that they run 1,000,000 miles in Iraq in war-torn craziness without getting blowed up. Because,
Don't go.
Leave these boys alone. They buy beer, they buy weed.
Here's my whole thing on it is like, no, I don't like, illegal immigration or what's happening in the southern border. But if I came across someone at my job, and found out that he's an illegal immigrant, I'm not going to pull my gun out and like fucking execute him on the side of the street, because at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, are you working? All right, that's fine. If you make something of yourself, most people don't give a shit.
Now, the one that's protesting because the facilities that they're staying in the middle of New York City is not good enough. No, fuck off. Go home.
There's a...
You want to nail on shingles or finish drywall?
Did you see the article about the school?
Sign him up.
Past week where they were having all the students did a walkout because of the furry kids at the school were biting them and scratching them and shit like that.
The cat litter boxes stink or something.
But these are the people that we deal with, and
we've accepted it.
Once again, it goes back to they were all able to mingle up on the internet and come together, whereas in nature the strong typically survive, and that got us to a point even into society back into the high schools and stuff. But after the internet came around, it's like, well, the little pervs can battle up over here and all these people can battle up here, and they all got together, and now we're in the fight of our life over a bunch of blue-haired commies who have never been kissed
or punched in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said about not letting kids
AI girlfriends is a $1 billion industry. These kids out here today, they're subscribed. They're subscribed to AI girlfriends where they can go in and like generate whatever image of their perfect woman can be. And eventually, everybody's talking about the robots and stuff. The sex industry is going to be the first hit by the robots, because when those sex robots come out, you're going to have incels sitting in their apartments all day long, never going anywhere. I mean,
one would think Stuart is here because I've got purple smoke pouring out the back of my head right now.
It's God's honest truth, but I mean, it is. There's this one website out here
that still has my girl robot up here.
How do you know about this?
Oh,
website?
Yes, I do.
I listen to it on Timcast.
Tamika is here.
That's why I don't know what it is.
I sent it out at the end of his road the other Christmas. All the sugar at the end of his.
So what we were saying though, like,
and it sat there for a couple of days. He didn't even know it was there.
Like, to what I was saying about kids not getting hit in the face, that it goes for adults as well. Like, all my friends and I, we call each other on our bullshit all the time, and we always say to one another, like, hey, it's a good thing to get your ass kicked once in a while, because it lets you be reminded that, hey, don't talk shit if you can't back it up.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with somebody getting popped in the face or popped in the mouth or something. You don't beat the hell out of somebody. Like, every there's justification for everything, and we can all pretty much police ourselves when it comes to that. Yeah. Like these lunatic leftists who've never had a real job, who've never struggled, who've never done anything but sit off the backs of their parents. Mm-hmm. They think that everybody just walks around that doesn't think like them, and all they have on their mind is going and killing somebody that doesn't look or think just like them. No, we just going about our business, and they just want to be left alone.
Look where we're at now. It was fairly recently, within the last, let's say 2 weeks. I know I'm going to bring up something that's very contentious, and I'll probably be called some racist bigot for doing it, but I don't give a shit. What we saw with it going on in our schools and the bullying, and it seems to be predominantly black female students beating the shit out of some white kid. Mm-hmm. And you saw this poor child having her head mercilessly head beaten against the concrete floor. And this isn't the first instant that we've all seen of this. And I'm deeply disturbed that this is going on in our places of learning, where our kids are in jeopardy. And I don't know why it's happening.
I'll save you from getting called a racist for that. A white person could do it just as easily.
Oh, absolutely. But what we're seeing, what we're seeing now is evidence of that pack mentality.
Mm-hmm. It's like an insular society. Back in the day, it used to be, hey, the Italian kids don't go into, the Polish neighborhood.
Right.
The black kids don't go into, the Italian neighborhood or the Irish neighborhood. You had, your neighborhoods. And if a perfect example is my friend growing up, he's a very Italian guy. He grew up in Newark, New Jersey, or the Oranges in New Jersey. He said that, we were on our side of the highway and the black kids were on one side of the highway, and a couple streets down was the Italian neighbor or the Irish neighborhood. And if there was ever beef between them, they would all go to the little footbridges that go over the highways, and
have at it.
The leaders of those communities would discuss rules ahead of time, and they worked it out that way. People got absolutely fucked up, but there was kind of an order to it.
But we're seeing this going on in our institutions of learning.
And it's getting worse too, because Montgomery County, Maryland. Did you see that this week?
I didn't see that particular one.
They magically stopped a potential school shooter who had a 160-page manifesto. It was a he that thought they were a she. They were going to shoot up their high school, and then they had also admitted that they were going to shoot up the elementary school because it was a softer target and little kids are easier to kill.
Wow. Why
is it consistently trans people that we're seeing that are becoming, shooters?
That is definitely a trend that is very prevalent right now. And this is a mental illness, again, that we're seeing throughout. And what is the root cause? We're not looking at the root cause. We're not treating the root cause because we're medicating it.
We can't talk about the root cause. You get canceled if you talk about,
San Francisco MTA has said that we're not allowed to talk about it because it makes people think of racial statistics.
Yeah. And now we're actually on the verge of being persecuted for not accepting people's pronouns. Now, you can kiss my ass on that one. I expect to be arrested countless times on the basis of not accepting someone's pronouns.
I'll go to the trans bathroom every day and take the biggest shit of my life.
But, these are social issues that we are encountering as a community.
But we're allowing
in big shit.
1.3% or something of the population to control the entire content of the nation.
The minority has the majority rule.
The wheel that squeaks the loudest gets the grease.
Well,
and that's what makes it so difficult is they will all come together off of nothing else other than hate. Whereas conservatives or libertarians, they always want to find a better solution, so they're bouncing ideas off each other. Well, it's hard to bounce ideas off each other when your enemies are across the way right there and they've already formed up and they're gaggle fuck ready to go because they have no morals, they have no moral guidelines. All they care about is they hate you because you aren't them. And it's hard.
But they don't even know. They don't even know why they hate.
They don't.
Or why they support. We're with Hamas. Hamas. You don't know. You're not.
Well, that's called indoctrination.
It's impossible to debate something with somebody if their own preconceived notions make that something impossible.
And that makes them the fascists.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll consider that. And it doesn't matter what side of the left or right you are.
And spin around.
I've made that accusation a number of times, and you see that it's an uncontrollable. You can't possibly call me a fascist.
You're a fascist because you called me a fascist.
Yeah, and hang about you are describing all the symptoms behind fascism, and please don't look up fascism on Google because it's going to give you the wrong definition. So at least educate yourself about a definition of fascism and understand the fact that you're the fascist.
But maybe they've changed the definition of fascism.
Well, that's what
changed the definition of vaccine. Yeah. They changed the definition of recession.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not 17,000 quarters in decline.
I mean, I looked at some kind of statistics here recently because I was just curious, and I think it was like somewhere between 80 to 85% of all Americans and all Virginians were, vaccinated or boosted at least one time. That's a lot of people. And I mean,
that's control. That's a lot of control.
And I understand.
How long does it take us to convince the masses to do what we say? That's what that was. That was a perfect scenario.
It was a dry run
on how fast we can make this happen.
It was a dry run. It destroyed local communities. It destroyed.
You shut down Angle Hardware, but Lowe's can stay open.
Right.
No, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You shut down the mom and pop diners, but allow
McDonald's.
You're not allowed to be inside with other people, but you can set a fucking tent up on the damn sidewalk and sit out there all day long.
Don't go to the National Forest. You might get COVID, but you can absolutely come see this movie in theaters today.
Don't go out on the beach by yourself.
Or every time.
My favorite was the dummy that they had set up and they wanted to arrest
every time they want to shut down the government, well, the first thing they do is they close down Blue Ridge Parkway, the monument.
Yeah.
All that is just a a control jab.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is.
That goes back to my previous statement. The more that we take control of our lives and our personal rights, our God-given rights, the more secure our destiny becomes.
But
Absolutely.
they think, they feel like their God, we say our God-given rights, but they feel like they have rights that are their God-given rights.
Well,
they don't
it's
believe
not
in God.
God-given because they don't believe in God.
Well,
Really
but how misguided? Well, some of them do.
some of them do, sure, and then plenty.
They
of
say
them
they
don't,
do.
You can't remove God-given
Technology
inalienated rights.
made it possible to not have dialogue.
The Constitution said so. Now, that's a constitutional
Yeah,
right.
but they'll argue that's
That's okay.
outdated.
It's
but
a constitutional right.
You can use
They
Lysander
affirmed
Spooner's
it.
argument, though.
So
It was affirmed.
20 years ago, I was building you a
Go to
house.
the book, brother.
We sat down time after time. We went over this face to face. Now, I have literally built a house where almost exclusive over text message and email.
Mm-hmm.
Barely ever met the homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
But and so if
Now, that's the advantage.
no, that's a disadvantage because you don't know, you don't get a feel for that. The only way
There
to
are
get
pros and cons
the
to
only
it.
way to actually know somebody is to be able to
Eye
interact.
to eye.
Yeah.
Eye to eye.
Or whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, but that could be a pro for somebody out of state who could get something done really quickly.
Well,
and,
yes, but if this wasn't that deal,
Okay.
but that they were young. Technology. I mean, dude, when we were young, I mean, we were partying 200-300. We never had the cops at the house. We didn't have social media.
No, thank God.
But
Jesus.
amen.
Amen to that.
Oh God.
Speaking of,
But now it's and every bit of that is
And most of it's fake too. People will go out here and they'll rent like a private jet for 15 minutes, go out there, take some photos of it.
oh
Or
my God,
people
those
say-
tools on the. Did you see those kids on the yacht like 2 months ago that did that, and they had their rental agreement sitting in front of them?
Really?
Yeah,
That's what they'll do.
It's
They'll-
like you don't know what it's like until you have to hustle like me and get a multi-million
like some of these
dollar
thirst
yacht.
traps. Throw some of these thirst traps on Instagram. These chicks, they'll go out there and they'll get up.
trap.
Yeah, they'll go out and people just send them money.
You mean this one on your comment
just-
from earlier?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They'll go out there and
But we wasn't doing it for a life.
Baka wow wow.
they'll go out there and they'll get dressed up and stand in front of a football stadium like they're going to the game or whatever, take a bunch of photos. Then they'll just take a cab home and get back in their sweatpants. Nothing is what it seems out there anymore.
Well, like social media uninfluencers. I mean, like they say, like they'll go up to like damn in the fall to way out in the country somewhere and be changing clothes, like
Yeah.
set up a little and be out in the middle of some farmer's field.
Hey, as a niche internet micro celebrity, I take
Yeah, what the
offense
fuck
to
is
you
that?
accusing me of being
Nobody
fake.
gives a
Oh, listen, I've come across something recently that's made me nervous about accepting certain friends on certain websites and what have you.
Well, we can talk about
And it's you nearly got me there, Amos. And it's all about when they put on their description, right? That you can't see any of their details, you can't see where they're from, you can't see. They don't put anything in about themselves, but they're asking for a friendship over Facebook, let's say. And you're looking through it, and I like to think, what relevance does this person have for asking to be a friend
Right.
to a certain web page?
So, you
So
look through their
I go
mutual
and I go and check.
if there is any.
And there seems to be a very small percentage that show absolutely no details about where they're from, who they are, anything. So you've got no idea where they're from. You don't have
I
any
am this
image,
person, Facebook.
and then they put down as their job, they're digital creators.
I'm not
And
that person,
I,
sorry.
that's, to me, unfortunately, when I see that, I hit delete.
Oh, it's a good
Mhm.
policy.
Yeah.
And I'm just not going to play that game. But so there's the falsehoods of this digital, social media landscape that we all, unfortunately, even an old git like me, now has to navigate.
Well, so there's benefits to the social media.
Of
obviously
course there are.
with
They're
us.
huge.
But then there's also downfalls. It kind of like turn it back to what you were saying, Amos, about people are wanting to build houses, but you never meet them online. I think Chip brought up a good point of people being out of state, and Dana on Twitter or X actually asked a really good question for us to talk about with that.
Weeder.
Oh, nice.
Tweeter.
How do we stop the ongoing sale of land to blatant carpetbaggers? How do we make Appalachia, specifically Southern Appalachia, unattractive to the exploitive outsiders who cares for nothing but money and or the McMansion on the mountaintop?
We have dengue and malaria here. Dengue and malaria. It's rife. It's coming. It's already here.
For those of you that don't know, it's one of those ones that makes your intestines just kind of slip out your butt, right?
It's awful. I actually caught dengue in Belize, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. But malaria is just as bad, if not worse. So yeah, we got dengue and malaria. We do.
When the mountains are haunted too. I mean,
and like, there's a lot of people. I mean,
we have guns too.
Moving in here. I mean, in my lifetime,
we've got a lot of guns.
Yeah. Dennis won't come to my house. If he don't see me, he don't stay. He's like, man, you don't drive this far back. If you're a black man, you don't come this far back down a gravel road.
And lots of V8 lifted trucks. Oh yeah. Californians hate that. So the Californians will never come here. We've got V8 lifted trucks. We're gas guzzling fools, with lots of guns. And we have dengue and malaria. I think that would cover it.
This is a serious question, though, to talk about, because and we've seen it here in our hometown with Smith Mountain Lake. A lot of those people got down there and all banded together and all of a sudden started making rules and regulations for the lake that's been here and we've been using. Now, most people.
But that's bringing politics to where you found somewhere you thought was awesome and you bring your politics. And I'm afeared that that's what's going to happen to Texas and Florida, because you look at the millions that are moving out of California.
Oh, yeah.
They're moving to Texas and Florida. And if they don't check their damn politics at the door, they're going to turn them states.
It can happen anywhere.
It already is happening down in Texas. Like Austin is a lot of,
But are they, if they're uplifting and moving, to me, I'm hoping, being a glass half full guy, that they see the problems and the root cause of why they feel they have to move.
Well, their problem is most
state.
of them are in a cult. They don't see themselves as the problem.
Your wife is one of the few Yankees that moved here and checked all her politics at the door. For example, the lake. I mean, just like Billy was saying, they tried to check some of them, but, we have a board member that is glad our sheriff's department has a show of force at a board meeting because he was scared of us.
Well, and therein lies part of the
scared of Lee?
Yeah. Therein lies part of the problem locally about that very setup is
because the lake people didn't like an old timer from the county that was on the board. So, Hey, you run and take this.
Well, it's actually a bit worse than that, because we now have the influence of that mentality that allows Bedford County, their VRBOs and Airbnbs at the lake, which is a huge source of revenue. But our Franklin County Board of Supervisors, in their infinite wisdom of land management and fiscal responsibility, have figured out that they will not allow short-term rentals around the lake
anywhere
anywhere, which is about my zoning Nazi issue.
They're not allowing them?
No. They're not allowing them. And what they're doing by doing that is handing an open revenue checkbook to Bedford County, because, and this is what really drives me through the fucking roof, is that one of their main policy guidelines is to generate tax revenue for the county. And they are absolutely handing it to Bedford County on a plate by saying we will not allow short-term rentals anywhere in the county, especially around the lake.
But they don't think that's a problem.
Those are large amounts of tax revenue.
It's massive tax revenue. Crazy. And these clowns...
Me and Tina's house was on the Bedford side.
Well, they've managed to make so many land speculation deals that I just have lost complete faith in their management fiscally of the county, because they've shown themselves to be completely incompetent.
Here's a question, though.
Boom, that was my big fucking rant, and I've got it off my chest.
That was a good one.
Let's say I lived on the lake and on the Franklin County side, and I put my house up on Verbo because fuck you, it's my house.
Mm-hmm.
How's your sheriff feel about it? Is he going to enforce the Gestapo's will, or the Franklin County Board of Supervisors will?
No, the treasurer though.
But the treasurer will tie you in knots and permit you to death. You will be fucked over a
Probably levy fines.
A very
doesn't it? I mean,
non-finished barrel.
That's at that point. That's nothing better than an HOA fine.
But I mean, so like
that's right.
Was it a civil violation?
It would be a civil penalty.
I
don't know.
So the burden of proof is on.
But it ain't about the legal aspect.
Right. Violations occurred.
You know, me and Tina's house is on the Bedford side, on the lake. Our house, our neighbor's house, right beside it. Every one of our houses got bought by investment firms out of Northern Virginia, renting them out for $7,000 a week.
Think about the tax revenue on that.
That's insane.
But on this side of the lake, no, that's unacceptable. Can't be done. But on the Bedford side of the lake, so I mean, are you for real?
Can't cross him.
How much
on a
money?
Silver platter. And the house that Dwayne lived in next door, it's a 2-story house, maybe 4,000 square feet. Literally, it is rented almost every single week, all year round, because the summer, the winter fishermen, $7,000 a week.
And we as a county, as our board, as our treasurer, accountant, and legal representation, is actually saying, no, we will not allow this revenue source.
Well, the worst part
there
is
was another revenue source back in the day they said you couldn't do, and Franklin County said go fuck yourself about it.
Well, the thing about it is,
and also powered their tractors with it during the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the worst part about it is not only are they, have they made the command, but essentially they're telling you can't do what you want to do with your own property. The house you bought, the house you build, the land you tend to, they're telling you now you can't do, you have to go through us. Like, what expertise do you have?
Well, we said in that one meeting where them two old ladies begged and pleaded the board forever. What were they wanting to do?
Use it as an Airbnb, essentially.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let them do it.
I don't know if they voted them down or not, but it was 15 minutes of them going up.
Probably did. The government's
this is such a waste.
What the hell is that
That
shit?
is a waste.
Well, I told them afterwards, it's ridiculous. These two fine ladies have to come in here and grovel at y'all like you're the Senate of Rome sitting up here in your little...
To do something with their own land.
I was like, yeah, it's their own property. It ain't none of y'all's damn business.
They did that huge industrial park on 220. How much they spent, Simon? $30 million?
What do you say? And the rest.
And they bought 2 dairy farms that sit side by side, like 200 acres apiece.
So
maybe.
Professional.
And he looks at me.
And spent
like, I'm going silent.
So they spent $12 million to buy 400 acres. We just purchased 100 acres for $500,000. That's about the going rate around here. But yet you now put all the roads in, like, who decided that the board can become a developing company?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine that owns Procon, Solid Rock, 500 employees in this county, and is in an industrial park that's way dated, went to the county and said, hey, I want to move my business. I want to move my whole operations to this new park. Because they were saying, they were going to give huge tax breaks, basically give you this land, cut your tax X amount a year. You have 500 employees, own 2 big businesses. And they were like, yeah, nah, you seem to be doing all right down there where you're at. So he's a taxpayer in this county. He's helping pay for this stupid thing. And his brother owns a huge multi-million-dollar trucking company. Same thing. Franklin County refused to talk to either one of them about moving to an empty industrial park because they already were established in this county.
Which county did they go to?
Well, none.
I was gonna say I'm pretty certain us up the mountain in Floyd County would love having a new industry like that coming in.
One of them sold the whole trucking business.
That sounds right.
I mean, we're seeing these kind of problems all up and down the Appalachian region. One of the biggest problems people talk about all the time too is the drug problem. I mean, how do you squash that? Is it just going to eventually kill everybody in these hollers, and they're going to come back and reclaim them because it's getting worse and worse and worse out there? People aren't paying attention to it, but
I don't know if in all of its trillions of dollars and thousands of lives that the government bodies of the government is thrown at it, I don't think that us in this room have one cure fix all. And I think that just comes down to the whole, at some point America needs to figure out, and Appalachia needs to figure out why we're hurting and why we're looking at just prescription drugs for it.
But you're absolutely right. It's everywhere. I mean, you look at people
everywhere.
Well, they've admitted that China now is the main supporter of the fentanyl trade. I mean, that's now in
It's understood.
It's now in mainstream media
But there's massive money in medicine.
And the crazy part
absolutely.
about it is I've asked this question a few times. It's like, with fentanyl being so deadly, why do they go out there and put it in batches to where it's going to kill their client base? You know, it doesn't make sense to kill your customer base. But they would tell us that it doesn't matter. More people would come to them because it would be that strong of stuff, and they were willing.
That was very much. I heard this.
I know where you're going.
Secondhand, and from a very, very reliable source, so I don't have any problems stating this, that there was a batch of fentanyl that came out within the last 6 months around here locally, that was killing folks. Oof. Now, and this seems so counter to how you should think when you are not in this drug environment. But folks are now thinking that the guys that are in the fentanyl business they are the addicts, right? They've got a level of tolerance.
Mm-hmm. So they're loading it harder.
They wanted to know where that batch
where their line was
coming from, because it obviously had a more lethal angle to it, possibly to a newer addict than an older addict. And the older addict was looking to find that batch that was the killer because it gave them the high that they were looking for. Wow. Now, that to me is, that is absolutely the definition of Russian roulette right there. Mm-hmm. But then if someone is actively making that decision to go, I need that dose that's going to give me the next level of high. More. So, yeah, we've got that. This is a problem that we can't fix. I don't think we can fix it. Yeah, I don't know how fixable it is. It's if it happens on your doorstep, and you know there's someone cooking meth somewhere locally in a piece of shit single wide wherever, take care of that business yourself, folks. Mm-hmm. The sheriff won't thank you directly.
Crystal Methodists aren't that hard to find.
That's it. Well, and the problem is when you have this addiction and you couple it with our welfare system as it is, so when you get off of it. That right, it's not just that they help these folks; it's they're profiting off of it, and so
mental health has and it's a very topical issue for I think the progressive left. Actually, no, I may be asked backwards in that. Let me make my statement. For me, the medicating a mental illness is merely putting a Band-Aid across the problem. Mm-hmm. You're not really treating it. And I've said this on many a show in the past that, where I was from, we used to have some mental institutions around the market town that was next to us. And I think there were at least 3 big Victorian institutions that would house the mentally ill,
which is appropriate.
Which was quite appropriate. I mean, it's a dreadful thing these were Victorian buildings, and they create all the negative angles about how the mentally ill were treated in the past. But nonetheless, they were being treated.
Right.
Now, when you're medicating the mental ill, you're not only not treating it, you're putting the responsibility of medication on the person that is very at risk from not being medicated, going back to their state of imbalance. So the whole way of the pharmaceutical medication of mental illness is horribly flawed. And we're seeing it now. I mean, look at all the lunatics with the LGBT plus P angle, this trans issue. I mean, we've got some trans. There's some mental problems going on here that we're not going to treat with a pill.
Well, they're trying to treat them with a pill now. They're trying to treat them with deforming themselves by cutting their arms off, and they're trying to push this on kids. If nothing else, the pills are pushing on them. Studies have shown that most of these places they end up getting out of the phase after a few years and they're fine. It's just most of the time, even Europe has started to ban all of these procedures and stuff.
That's a good thing to see.
Let me ask you all a question though. Let's say that the war on drugs was won tomorrow morning. We woke up, all classes of illegal drugs, heroin, meth, coke, crack, illegal prescription pills, even weed, was all just magically disappeared. no way to ever make it again, do you think the DEA would disappear?
Oh, they find something else.
No, exactly. That's
Oh yeah, they just reinvent something.
create a new usefulness. That's
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
When was the
You
last
find
time the ATF went after tobacco?
That's right.
Whoops.
But did Amos just walk into the door for
Philip did.
Oh.
No, Philip did, and there was medic, stretcher bearers.
But
For him or the door?
I think Philip would probably knock out the door before he knocked himself out. Quite frankly.
but I mean, look back. You know, what was it? 2 decades ago, or no, 3 decades ago now. The ATF was having a hard time finding justification for themselves. And then, oh hey, Waco.
That was
Yeah,
yesterday,
they'll
31
always.
years ago.
Yeah, I mean they're always going to create.
249 years ago, though. Yesterday, we kicked the shit out of the British at Lexington and Concord.
Nice. How about that?
Sorry.
Today
You
I'm
would've
an
been shooting
American.
that-
Put your beans on toast
Listen,
on that.
I had my drumsticks and my bagpipes, and you buggers turned up with bloody rifled muskets, for goodness sake. What did you think was going to happen whilst we were wearing red? I mean, I thought,
least I
talk
can't
about
see
an
the blood
unethical
flowing out
war,
of
for
you.
goodness sake. Hiding behind a tree line in green with a rifled musket whilst I've got my bagpipe and drumsticks.
I say all this when my ancestors are all from, Great Britain. I'm saying all this.
No, I mean, quite right. They needed a good bloody thrashing. Some of these stamp acts and taxation lunacy, I'm not surprised
Like
tea
I
was
said, every
thrown in
now and then
that.
it's good to get hit in the fucking face.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what it takes.
Thomas Jefferson said as much.
Yeah.
I read about it on the internet.
Right.
Oh dear. Whilst you were in your mother's basement. Oh, that's even worse.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy fix for the drugs, and I don't know what you really do to stop it other than
It's
If-
personal choice. Again.
but if government gets out of it and stops the regulations and allow people to actually help treat these people, because what happens is they overregulate the industry and they push all the competition out, where there could be drug counselors set up. They don't have the proper, piece of paper. They don't have the proper this. You got to go through these holes. And then by the time somebody finally gets to them, maybe they've OD'd. It's just there's so many hoops and holes. Like you can't, we talk about Spike has done this plenty of times. He's went down with some of these communities where they say, you can't feed the homeless. Well, why not?
Oh, yeah.
And it's illegal. They'll come give them tickets for it. Because if they're feeding the homeless, then the money they're getting to feed the homeless, which they're not actually using to feed the homeless, will get taken away. They don't ever fix the problem, but when somebody goes and tries to fix the problem, they throw them in jail. Like, this is what you have to stop. Like, that's very bottom level. There was a great scene in V for Vendetta towards the end when that cop shot that chick. At some point in time, there's going to have to, a few eggs have to break. I'm not saying there's mass violence needed, but you have to set an example at some point in time. If you keep seeing people being thrown in cages for stupid stuff, those are your neighbors or your friends. You have to start stepping up, show up at that courthouse, show up at that jail, surround the place, demand that's what it's going to end up taking.
Government only has as much authority as you let them pretend that they have.
Exactly. We outnumber them 300 to 1. And they don't have their entire military. Half of them would defect. So they're not as scary as everybody thinks it out to be. And the second they start messing with us, every other country and their cousins will come in here to try and help us, just like France did back in the Revolutionary War.
I think it's not only just getting the government out of the way, but also then holding companies like Pfizer and whatnot accountable, companies that are the start of why we have a massive drug problem in Appalachia. Because, oh, hey, take this, non-addictive drug. No one has ever gotten addicted to it before. Oh, hey, what do you know? It's extremely addictive.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's $500, but this heroin over here is only $20 a shot, man.
Yeah.
They were never held accountable for that. It's a joke. No, they won't.
I mean, they paid a minimal fine, but it's like, it's kind of like, well,
How much
okay,
does
if
Dr.
you have the
Fauci-
opportunity to go out there and make $20 billion and you get fined $1 billion, are you going to take that deal every single time?
Well, they created an old market for themselves. I mean, they know how to do it again. And that's what they do.
How can you create laws that protects you from litigation as a pharmaceutical company that then, Congress support? That to me just doesn't make sense.
They're
I don't
hand
know
in
how-
hand. I
They
mean,
say-
they work,
they say you
they're
can't-
working together.
They say
It's a
you
problem.
can't sue a company, but then they go because it's not a person, and then they tell you from Citizens United, companies are people. They have a
It's
vote
true.
too.
So, when they start passing laws like that, you know the system is absolutely broken. And again, we come back to that word system. Whenever there's a system in place, it is designed to remove control from you.
That's right.
And therein lies a massive problem for our God-given rights, individual rights.
I think it was Calvin Coolidge, maybe, who said that taxes should be as minimally intrusive into Americans' lives as they can legally be.
Oops, what happened there?
The best president ever.
Yeah.
Calvin Coolidge. Look him up. He's amazing.
Came into office, did nothing.
He's like, I don't want to mess with you people. Let me just get through here, and you keep your money, and we'll get out. And that's perfect. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we have the Virginia General Assembly telling us they can't get rid of the state inspection tax on our vehicles because the Commonwealth won't be able to fund itself if we don't have the money coming off of that. Not because it has anything to do with the safety of your vehicle on the roads that aren't safe for my vehicle to drive on. It's that they won't have money for, the George Floyd Memorial Bridge to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sorry, the George Floyd Memorial Transition Crossing.
Defund, decentralize, take control of your own personal position and be responsible for it. That's all you need to do.
And they don't want to allow you to do that. That's the problem. If they would leave me alone to do that, it'd be a great thing.
Yeah.
What is it you guys, they're so long?
I'm surprised that's the first phone call he's gotten.
It wasn't a phone call. It was me sitting on my,
Oh, you were butt dialing someone. Yeah. Oh, right. Even worse.
My own damn keys.
But
did you see your own keys up your butt or something?
It was close.
Something like that.
It was close.
For it, he was a good time.
I'll tell you before we get out of here real quick, we're coming up on a couple of hours now. I wanted to, I know Chip and I are getting ready to do something pretty cool here in the near future. And we're going to start doing kind of like a 1 day a week show, 20 to 25 minutes a piece. We're going to use a little bit better of these. Well, I haven't even got to mess with mine yet. I meant to bring it up here today and try and fool with it, but I just haven't had a chance, basically. And we have Spike coming on as a contributor so it would basically be 20 to 25 minutes. Get on there, talk about 3 or 4 issues of the week. Spike talks about maybe what you or the power are doing. But each week we bring in a different co-host because we've got so many people lined up. They're in his inbox or my inbox. They have really, really massive appeal out there and also have really good, good things to say and good perspective. So, we bring each of them on here once a week. We do the 20, 25 minutes things. We're getting clips right there. And those clips start feeding into this podcast. And then we start getting some of those people to actually come on to the long form show here, get them to the area. They spend money, that kind of deal. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming up here in the very near future. Real excited about that. We'll talk about the name here a little bit later, maybe around July 4th. If we can start getting these cameras in here and get this kicked off, we can have a big celebration up here, something July 4th, and maybe kick off both shows and have some people come in here. And that'll be a good time because we've got so many cool, Grammy winners, NASCAR champions. We've had, phenomenal musicians and getting their reactions, getting their back and forth with Simon. I mean, I think the internet needs to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure about that.
We saw a glimpse in DC.
Be a big help. And
you know what is going to evolve from this is there'll be a drinking game.
Of course.
Where everyone that happens to be watching the show goes, you've got to take 2 fingers of drink every time Simon takes a sip. And it's just going to be disastrous.
It's 2 fingers of rum. Let's be clear.
Oh, absolutely. We're not drinking beer. So I can see a little drinking show developing from these little clips. It's just like every time he takes a drink, we've got to take at least a drink. And that could be hysterical.
I forgot with Simon last night. I didn't make it.
Yeah. I called in sick again.
It's becoming a problem.
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, you can find us and help support us to help make these dreams come true at patreon.com/getontap for just $1 a day, ladies and gentlemen. Price of 1 cup of coffee a month from the 7-Eleven, not even from Starbucks. You gave me a Starbucks coffee price a month.
Oh,
that'd be great.
That'd be better.
Great. Yeah,
that'd be better.
So go there and also at Cash App,
sacrifice yourself.
At Get On Tap. They can find Chip at Being Libertarian on all the platforms. Smokey the Appalachistani. You've got different names on them, so I'll let you.
State of Appalachia.
State of Appalachia on Instagram and on X/Twitter. It is at Appalachistani, Appalachistani, for all you illiterate motherfuckers out there.
And we're at Get On Tap on X, and we're at Appalachian Podcast.
That was a winner. That will entice them in. That was the carrot, not the stick, by the way. That was the carrot. I was a beauty.
We're at the Appalachian Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully, at some point in time, our shadow ban on Facebook will go away. It's been over a year now.
Won't. Zuckerberg.
You know, we can't reach anybody right now. So, but other than that, come find us on there. We're having a good time. We go back and forth. We share a lot of Smokey stuff. We're always sharing Chip stuff. And be on the lookout for this big show coming between me and him, because I'm excited about some of these people. They're huge names in the investigative journalist world. You know, huge names in the entertainment world. It's going to be a really good time. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to say bye for Amos. He's out there doing God knows what.
He's running his mouth.
For Dakota, thank him again for coming up here today and hanging out and being a big part of this thing.
That's
Go
right.
check out him at Big Lick Roofing. Was it BigLickRoof.com? Go in there, find them on Facebook as well. They do some funny stuff, and hopefully we'll our Facebook page will get out of its ban soon. We can share some of it, and y'all can actually see it. So for everybody that joined us here today, we thank y'all, and we'll catch you next time.
Keeping it real.
Crowd. I drank too much and I laughed too loud. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. I roll my own every now and then. I love a good buzz with a few close friends. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. Won't hear me beg. Like me that we still have. I believe hard work won't go unseen. I'm a big fan of chasing your dreams. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. The road to the top, it ain't no easy climb, but if you love what you do, I believe you'll be fine. Me. That's how I'll always be. Won't hear me beg. I'm a bit too proud. I work my ass off for everything that I have. So let's take a drink. Maybe raise your glass. This is for the few country boys like me that we still have. I believe that God and Mama are your two best friends, but most of the time I don't listen to them. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. And I wait at the gates when it's my turn to fly, but I'll still raise hell until the day that I die. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. It won't hear me beg. I'm a bit too proud. I work my ass off for everything that I have. So let's take a drink. Maybe raise your glass. This is for the few country boys like me that we still have.